welcome to the show, and I'm honored to have you here for this interview because I've heard a lot about you and your financial journey. So, I don't know if you can tell me about how you formed your company. Um, what was it that made you start your company? Where did you get this idea? And how did it become a reality?
Talking about my entrepreneurial journey, it was not, to be honest, very tough to decide, primarily because after joining a couple of banks and working with them after my MBA in the wealth management industry, I was very clear that I didn't want to do anything where my investors, where clients who are trusting their hard-earned money with me, are shortchanged for small bit of commissions and brokerages and things like that. I was very unhappy with the way I was personally doing wealth management for a lot of my clients and investors. This triggered my entire thought of not working for anyone, not working for short money. I wanted to grow along with the client and not at the cost of client. And that's a whole reason why I started Augment Capital Services about 11 years back. And it's been wonderful since then. We have completed 11 long years. We have offices in Bangalore. We have office in Hyderabad. Now we are opening up in Mumbai. So I'm happy and I'm grateful that a lot of my clients entrusted their hard-earned money with us in spite of me not being a big brand then.
Right. It's amazing how it's been 11 years. That's a long time. But how did you find those people to trust you in order to trust in the services that you were going to provide?
One thing I've always seen with people, with investors, with anybody is that trust takes a lot of time to develop. So it is not that anybody and everybody started off giving me money. Earlier, the strike ratio, as we call it, let's say you get an option or you get about 10 meetings to speak to. The number of people who will enter their money, and that to a very small amount of money, was about maybe a 1 or 2 out of the 10. And even out of the 1 or 2, they would never give you their whole money. They will always say, okay, I'll check out your services. You look like an okay guy. That is primarily because I had worked for a couple of banks and I also had an MBA degree to support me. And maybe I would have come across as a trustworthy guy, or they would have liked my pitch. So they started off with smaller money. But what I really liked that at least they gave me a chance to start off with, because just put yourself in their shoes. It is not at all easy to give your money to anybody who's just coming off your way. You will always want to do a lot more due diligence. You want to do cross verification, background check, and then you will say, okay, I will start off, but maybe with 5% of what I have. So if I have a crore, I will maybe give you 2, 3, 5 lakh rupees to start off with. And I'm fortunate that a lot of people did trust us at that point in time. And then they did give me small set of money to start off with. To give you a number, in 2010, we used to manage, when I started off alone, I didn't have anybody to back me up at that point in time, except for my clients. The total amount of money that we used to manage, or I used to manage at that point in time, was $1 million, which is about 7 crores as of the value today. So that is where we all started off. Fortunately, trust got built up. It took time, and as they say, right, it's a rolling stone. It doesn't gather mass quickly. It takes some time to gain their trust. It takes a lot of time to make them believe that the journey that they're going to be with me in their wealth creation process is going to be smooth and things like that. So it was not so great till about 2015, till about 2016. That's about 6 years in operation. So from $1 million, we moved to about $20 million in 2016. But yeah,
Wow.
but today we manage close to about upwards of 60 to $70 million. And that is how our growth rate has been. So the trust is one single factor, which takes a lot of time to build it. But what I've seen is that the moment the investors believe in you, they actually give you a lot more than what you start with. So let's say, as I said, the strike ratios increased. So earlier 2 out of 10 clients used to give you money. Now at least about 7 to 8 out of 10 clients give you money, and the other 2 are still waiting and seeing you. And then they also give you a lot more over a period of time. And because everybody is growing today, you're growing, I'm growing, every individual is growing. So the money flow will automatically happen. I'm really, really, again, I take this opportunity to thank the investors, the initial set of investors who backed me when there was nobody else to back.
Right. That's amazing.
Thank you.
I really commend you for working on that for so long, and that journey is so important to have that client trust. It's and of course, the success in the business also, it's proof, to keep the client happy and make them back you more. It's so important too. So I'm sure you have had a lot of challenges with um, managing financial growth and using financial investments. I don't know if you can share some of your challenges and maybe some of your mistakes as well.
I would love to share mistakes because I think whosoever is going to watch this video, and if he's thinking of starting something of their own, whether it is in my industry or any industry, they should know the mistakes that their earlier entrepreneurs have made. The primary mistake that I did was getting into everything without having a focus on single way of let's say a style of investing. I went into X, I went into Y, I went into Z. So I went all around in my bid to cover and give a lot of things to the investor. So when you go to an investor, you feel that okay, I should have all the products, and then he believes or sees that okay, this particular person is well versed in 10 different products. But later I realized that that's not a great strategy. You should be an expert in what you do than being a jack of all trades. You should know the products, the investments, the solution that you're giving in and out than knowing a bit of everything. I would not recommend you to do that. In the initial years, you should focus on concentrating on 1, 2, or 3 lines of businesses so that you become an expert in that. And once you become an expert, then go to the 4th and the 5th. What I did as a major mistake was I went into 10 different things. When you go in 10 different things, you're confused because you yourself are not able to give a lot of time, and the investors are even more confused because they don't know what I'm trying to sell them. Am I trying to sell them a product which is good for the short term? Am I selling them for the mid-term, medium term, or the long term? So that is where I made a lot of mistakes in the initial years. And one thing that I've always felt that we all lacked in the years between 2010 to 2015, at least I lacked, is that guidance, right? It was very difficult to get good guides who will tell you what should you do. They will say, hey Anand, don't do this. Hey Anand, you should do this, because that kind of a level of guidance was not there. So that's the reason why I went all around. Thereby, maybe, I mean, looking back, if I had not done those, instead of managing $60 million, maybe I'd be at $100 million or so. So that's the cost that I paid, or the price that I paid for learning this the hard way, but no regrets. Today, at least I'm sure that, many people will learn from this. So you need to have a good guide, and you need to be focused instead of being too many places. Just be a focused, and also try to be guided by someone who will help you to create the right set of path.
Okay, so we switched interpreters, and I completely understand what you're saying. That is so amazing. Have had a lot of challenges, made a lot of mistakes, but I think the really important point here is that with managing financing and doing financial management, you're growing the money. That's the most important part.
Yes, growth of money is very important to my business, and that's the reason why a lot of people come to me. And also, there are two reasons, right? People come to me for growing their money and also protecting their hard-earned money that they've grown over a period of time. I like the part of growing the money very aggressively, growing at the right pace. If you're taking a risk, it is better to take good a set of risk and don't take undue risk. So I really like the pace at which I want to grow the money, and I'm more towards growth than just towards protection. Protection is always possible. It's not that we don't do protection of capital, but if you really give me a chance, I want to grow your portfolio 2x, 3x, 5x, and that's what I really want to do for my investors.
Yes, absolutely. That I think that is a fantastic goal. Growth is just a great goal. And for the financial industry in the next 5 years, where do you see that going? You know, the technology is going to change exponentially, and that's going to have a huge influence. What's your perspective on that?
Financial industry, especially the financial services sector that I am in, is going in for a rapid change. There's a lot more acceptance of investment as a product. These new investments that I'm talking about, a lot of people are accepting it now. I think mutual funds today, I mean, thanks to AMFI, the regulatory body, mutual fund today has become a household name in at least in tier 1 and tier 2 cities, which is great. And I'm sure over a period of time, it will also reach villages, creating a lot of money flow into the equity market, which is excellent for any industry. If you see any developed markets, the amount of money that gets poured into equity is much larger than what we have in India today. So this is an excellent news. In the next 5 years, I think this industry itself will shoot up to unimaginable numbers. That is one. Second thing which I see is a lot of people upgrading themselves from mutual funds to higher investment products, many very specialized focused products like PMSs, portfolio management services, where they can directly talk to fund managers, and they will also go to AI for alternative investment funds and so on and so forth, and also end up investing in international equity in a bigger way. Somebody available internationally to manage their international funds also. I think these are the kind of upgrades that I see. And technology, of course, has to play the biggest role. I see a lot of investors getting onboarded for the first time only because of technology and not because I am physically present there. Today, technology is going to enable the transformation or the acceptance of financial services in a much, much larger way, in my opinion. So thanks to technology, I think today, if India, I mean, I think we have about 7% or 8% of Indian population investing actively in mutual funds and share markets and all that stuff. I would not be surprised if we touch a number of about 20% in the next 5 years or so, or maybe more.
Oh, wow, 20%, that would be, or more, that would be amazing growth. And to see how technology has changed and caused that influence, and also to see technology as an option to make people's lives easier and to make the access more available for those financial services. And fintech has really overall been a very positive, welcome uh, addition to our lives. Have you heard about of course, you've heard about cryptocurrency, which is very popular now. What are your feelings and thoughts about cryptocurrency and its importance to investments and its importance to, a lot of investors are switching a lot of their investments over to crypto. It's had a 500% growth recently and in such a short amount of time. So what's your perspective on that? What can you offer regarding crypto?
About 1.6 lakh crore was invested in, by Indians in crypto via crypto exchanges in India in the last 1 year or so. The amount is humongous. I really appreciate what people have done, or a lot of investors. What a lot of these fintech platforms have done for crypto. But I'm not happy with the way they are projecting crypto as the next big thing. I'll tell you what. Any investment, if you're talking about doubling your money in the next 30 days, 60 days, or you're projecting it as if you buy crypto and tomorrow onwards you lead a different life. These are all very, very misleading ways of comment or communicating the usage of crypto. My big issue with crypto, I'll get to the part of should we invest or not, but my big issue with crypto is that people have not invested it because of fundamental reasons. Not many of them would have even gone through the white paper of why there is a crypto for a certain reason. They've just invested because my neighbor next door has invested, or my sister has invested, my brother has invested. So I don't really find it very right to invest in crypto for no reason or some other reason without doing fundamentals on it. Should you have crypto as an investment? It's a very gray area, a lot of doubts around it, a lot of regulatory issues around it. But if your government permits, right, what what even today the government has permitted public cryptocurrencies to be in, you can actually invest in public cryptocurrency, and I expect a bill to be passed in the next quarter or so. I think maybe a 3 to 5% kind of an allocation in good cryptos, which have got good white paper behind it, good analysis behind it, is still warranted, because you don't know what can happen in the future. But if you're going to invest because you're going to become rich overnight, like what is projected by crypto exchanges, I think you should not invest in crypto, because there are enough and more reasons why you should avoid crypto. Because you've seen a lot of cryptocurrencies going up by 1000% and coming down by 99.99% the next day. You don't want to have investments this way. So invest, of course you should, or you can, maybe 5% of your money in public, well returned, white paper, well researched cryptocurrencies.
Yes. So I love your explanation of that. Are you involved in crypto yourself?
I am.
Cryptocurrency?
Yes, I am not. Okay, I am not involved. I have invested. As I said, 5% is still warranted. I got my hands on Bitcoin way back at a good price. So I'm happy that it has grown, but I am not happy that other currencies are shooting up for no reason. But yes, I do have investment in Bitcoin. Absolutely.
So in your journey so far, how many clients have you had?
So in my last count, so we have 3 layers of investors, varying from very large ultra HNIs to HNIs, and someone who's going to be an HNI in the next couple of years. So if we were to put in all together, we combine, we manage, my partners and everybody else combined, we manage about 120 clients. So we are very niche. We give, as I said, right, I want to be a focused wealth manager than a wealth manager managing 1,000 clients. I don't think I will ever be able to do that. And I don't want to do injustice to the clients who have given me their hard-earned money. So we manage about 120 clients across my partners and, a few of the employees that we have.
I mean, that's a great number for all of your partners all together as far as the wealth management clients. And I love that approach that you have of building your team and building your wealth managers. So how do you select the people who you want to join your team? What are the qualifications you look for?
More than qualification, I really like one thing which is very important for me is the integrity and his willingness to put in the extra hour to learn something. I mean, I've written about this on my LinkedIn post. I've spoken about this many times. My back office, the person who handles my back office, is a 10th standard pass, right? But then what I really liked is he doesn't talk too much. All he does is initially he used to do or get my job done. That is enough for me. But today he's become a lot more progressive. He talks to back office. He talks to a lot of industry folks on his own because I've empowered him to do so. And I'm very happy with the way he's doing the job. And today, as per qualification, he's a 10th standard pass. But tell me if there's not one drop in the level of services that you have seen since the time he has taken over. He's been with me for 6 years now, and I'm very happy. So more than qualification, more than what can you bring to the table, I think all I require is there are 2 skills. One is integrity. Second is willingness to work harder and put in that extra hour if it is required.
Wow. Yes, absolutely.
I totally understand what you were explaining about finances. So I would love to become your client and work with you and manage my money. Give it to you for the next few days. That would be fantastic. So who has really inspired you? Who has been your role model? Who has inspired you?
Without a doubt, it's clearly my dad. I don't think I would be where I am if it was not for his guidance. I would not be what I am in spite of his struggles in his life, trying very hard to make ends meet up. I mean, he comes from a very poor family. And I was telling you, I'm from Bikaner, but he had to travel all the way to South India in a place called Shivakasi to set up stuff, to make ends meet for my family. And he made sure that I was educated. He pushed me to go to a city like Chennai to study my undergrad, and then also made me do my MBA as a postgrad from IBS Hyderabad. And I don't think he ever told me to join his business or stop studying and start working with him and things like that. He's always been telling me one thing: put in your hard work. Don't worry about the results. It will happen, provided you do the right thing for the client. And even today, at the age of 67, he continues to work as hard. And in fact, sometimes I get he works much hard. Not sometimes, most of the times he's working more than me and putting in those hard working hours, which inspires me quite a lot. I mean, I many times think, even if I do 50% of what he's done, I would be at a much, much better position. He's a big inspiration, without a doubt.
Wow. Yeah, I'm touched by that, by your father and the inspiration and how it's really led to what you are doing now, and he must be proud of you. Your father gave you incredible values too, and growing up. What would you say your top 3 values would be?
Okay, my strengths or my values are, first is integrity. When it comes to money, integrity is most important, because in my set of business, I can tweak a little business a little bit to make more money, which is I am not in for it. So integrity is very important. Being very proactive is key to my business, because nobody comes to you to get this global gyan saying, invest for today and leave it forever, it'll all be good in the long run and all that stuff. They expect you to be active, be very watchful of their portfolio, which is something that I offer them. And the third thing is very communicative. I try to share as much as possible, help them enjoy the investment journey, because as I said, the destination is of course going to be beautiful. It's going to be a lot of money at the end of the day, but the journey is equally important, because it's going to be very rocky, as I was telling you some time back. It's going to go up, it's going to come down, and you'll be happy and ecstatic one day and then sad the next day. So my role is very important here, because I believe I do investment management, but I also do better investor management. So that is something that I'm really proud of. And okay, this is one thing which my father always says. We have always been in businesses. I mean, he has always been in businesses, and he always has been in cyclical business. And he always used to say that, see, Anand, it's not that, every business has a cycle. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up and down. It is not, when you're up that you need to be worried about. You need to be even more positive when there is a downturn, because if you cross that downturn phase, there'll be 1 year where you can more than compensate for the remaining 6 years of not so great growth that you've had. So be steadfast in your approach, continue the discipline, keep putting those hours, so that you cross those 6 years, and the 7th year you will have such immense amount of growth, it will pay off for all the 6 years that you have not really seen growth. So that is something which has stuck to me, and positive attitude is something that I carry, which I also want to pass it on to my friends, my neighbors, my family, my relatives, my wife, everybody, so that I am a positive person.
Right. Yes. And thank you so much for teaching me all the things. I hope to be with you soon, maybe next week, and get in touch with you again. But most of all, thank you for joining this show, and thank you for giving your time and being patient. And we had some team interpreters help out as well. And thank you for joining.
Absolutely.
Do you have anything else before we leave?
I'm one of the things that I've learned from you is I mean, you asked me this question about who's your inspiration. If you actually see what you're doing is amazing, right? It's not easy for you, whoever, to come out and talk to people and also take the help and do these kind of things. I'm sure this should motivate a lot of people. This is great inspiration, not just for anybody and everybody, but to be honest, I think this is a great inspiration for anybody and everybody, right? It's absolutely to be positive, and that is what the message that you're coming across. I mean, you took in a lot of effort, took time, and employed interpreters, and that's excellent. You're putting in a lot of efforts. I really appreciate what you're doing, and thank you for having me here. It's absolute privilege and honor to be here, and very, very good luck with what you're doing here.